Hi little pups. I'm going to do my first what if video. My what if video is going to be called What if Deku was a dragon? It's going to be different from other people because it's going to be an elemental dragon and also mixture with what if Deku was a Todoroki. So Deku, well Zuko, when Izuku finally found his quirk was when he was at school and Bakugo was being an asshole by beating up one of his Deku's classmates. So he stepped in front of the girl and made an ice barrier around them because Bakugo was going to hit them. So in the middle of that, he found out that he had elemental kind of powers. Because after that, he burnt the ice off with fire. And no, he didn't know how to control it till he was younger. So the school called his parents, and they went to the pork doctor. And they found out that since Todoroki and Deku are the same age, and they're twins, they found out that Deku and Todoroki, that Deku had a elemental dragon quirk, and they explained that he can manipulate fire, air, darkness, light, water, all the elements. And he can turn into a dragon. He can also fly. He also has super strength and super speed. Todoroki still had the same quirk, half hot, half cold. So, I would say they both was trained by Endeavor. And in the end, Todoroki, Shoto, and Izuku got the nickname Ryu, which means dragon in Chinese. So he got the nickname Ryu because he can turn into a dragon. Todoroki still got the nickname Shoto since Endeavor was their parent and abused them since they both had the two ones, but Izuku got the worst of it because he had also air, darkness, water, light, and electricity. So he got the worst of it, and in the end, Deku and Shoto both didn't want to use their fire that they had. But Deku had blue fire since he was stronger, and he could breathe any of the elements and manipulate them. And with that, they both went to the same school, middle school. And in middle school, no, Deku didn't really was bullied because he was the son of Endeavor and had more power than Endeavor. So there was coming both Shoto and Ryu was going home after school. Yes, they live in Izuku's home. So with that, they got attacked by the villain once they took the shortcut. So the sludge launched toward Shoto. So Izuku, since he already knew he was there, he put a barrier above Shoto. Then when that happened, Izuku froze the villain and exploded it by making an explosion with electricity and fire. So with that, All Might came and found out that Shoto and Izuku both already put the villains into bottles. Then All Might comes out and says, "Did you two do this?" And I was like, "Yeah." All Might says, "What are your names?" And they both say, well, Izuku says, "I'm Izuku Todoroki, which my nickname is Ryu." And Shoto says, "Shoto Todoroki." And yeah. And also Shoto learned that it's his power, not his, a long time ago, since Izuku is his brother. So, in that, All Might asked if they wanted to train with him. If they wanted him to train him. And they said, sure. Because they're not a big fanboys. Or Deku's not a big fanboy anymore. It's like he has notes on everyone. Doesn't know how he can up-boost his quirk to get stronger than theirs. And he does tell this to Shoto. So they both try to get stronger than other heroes. Because their dad tried to make them the number 1 hero, number 2 hero. So, once they got to the Megara beach, after Izuku saved Bakugo, and, skip back. After they was going home, they heard a explosion, so they went back to see Bakugo in the flesh villain, with heroes doing nothing, just standing there like fucking assholes, watching a kid die. So Izuku went out and used his ice to block and freeze the villain. So with that, he froze him. He also electrocuted them. So it's like, since water and electricity don't go well, the electricity will go through his body and hurt him. And during that, Bakugo was able to get out of it. Because once he got shocked, he was like, "Let's go," of Bakugo. And Bakugo was able to get out before he got shocked. Shoto got Bakugo to safety, while Izuku defeated the villain, and All Might comes in with a Detroit Smash and finishes the villain off. The lower ranked heroes, was happy to see All Might. It's like, All Might, hey, All Might, this and this. So, and they went up to Izuku and say, "Why did you, interfere? It's like, you can't really do that. You're not a hero yet, and you can't use your quirk, and, just, being rude to him." But Izuku responds with, "I'm sorry, you're gonna either give me money or leave it alone. 'Cause I just did your job. And either way, you were being assholes because you were about to watch a kid die." Right? And so he leaves with Shoto. They help Bakugo get back to where he was going. And yes, Bakugo's not that mean anymore. He's mean, but not to them, because they know that they can be stronger than him. So, in the 10 months of training at the Dogma Beach, they both finish it in 2 weeks, because both of them have courses that could event to lifting and all the training that Endeavor made them do. So, during with that, after that they started to get into combat. And yes, they both were almost same strength, because Izuku is a little bit stronger because he has different, more powers to use to make him stronger. And he was put through more training to make him stronger. But the other thing is that they've grown to know how they could be a better hero than Endeavor. And no, they do not call him Dad. They call him Endeavor. And once they did the combat training, after a week, they started fighting, doing combat training with All Might. Because they were doing it against each other for that, 2 weeks. And then, after they started to do it All Might, first it was Shoto. Shoto would, almost beats him, but in the end doesn't. Izuku does beat All Might with just one, in just one fight. Shoto, it takes a week to defeat All Might. And then they start discussing who's getting one for all. Well, it's that one or the other one. Who gets All Might's quirk. And they say, what if we do this? What if we both get the quirk? But, Deku's like, who do you want to give it to, All Might? All Might says, I would have given it to Shoto because he's getting more into fighting, but he needs to train a little bit more harder and gets gooder at different things. Deku's like, yeah, I think Shoto should get it. So in the end, Shoto gets it by eating his hair. And since that, he waited an hour and the DNA digested. And they wanted to see if Shoto could defeat Izuku or Ryu. And he still couldn't, because Ryu turned into a dragon. And since he is a dragon, he's older and stronger. And he also has super strength. So yeah. And that was all done in 4 months. After that, in those last 6 months, they trained harder, got stronger. They kept training. And in the end, Izuku would have been a 75% of All for One. And Shoto was he could use 20%, but his barrier was 40. He could use 30 without any harm, 20 without any harm, and under. 35 is when he starts to get bruises. 40 is his limit. So it could hurt his hand, but it won't break it. So they get into the UA exams. Once they get into the UA exams, they both didn't really want to go or use the they didn't want to go on in the easy path. So they both went into the actual entrance exams. So first they went into the writing exam. Izuku got first place and Shoto got second, because 3 of those months that they used before the exam, of the 10 months before the exam, they did studying. And yeah, they studied a lot, so they both got the first places. And in the physical exam, Izuku and Shoto kind of work together since they are twins in a way, but they also have a rivalry, a friendly rivalry. So, Deku turns into a dragon. He fights with the Shoto. The Shoto climbs onto his back and gets him and drops him off at the other side of the exams where Dooku's not going to be. They're going to cut it in half, and they both get one half to see if they can destroy it easier and quicker. And yes, Izuku does go to his other one and defeats all the robots in a matter of 3 minutes. Shoto does it in 4. So with that, they have to send out the 0 pointers because the only ones were left was like 2, 3 because they was in the middle. They had to send out 3 0 pointers. And yeah, there's on Shoto's side, Invisible Girl got stuck. On Zuko's side, Araki got stuck. So Izuku flies up and freezes the head off of the robot and making it stop and fall backwards because all the weight was on his back. So it falls backwards and destroys itself. And he picks up the boulder off of Araki and then saves her before the 0 pointer hits the ground. And no, Ida did not interfere during the explaining. So all of that wasn't really interesting because they knew that they was Endeavor's sons. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Izuku's gonna be a girl in this one. No, that it was Endeavor's son and daughter, twins. So, with that, and yes, Tori did run away. So, and with that, they both defeated the robots. Todoroki froze the whole entire robot and then moved Invisible Girl with helping her, and then burned it to make it burn and shock out. And yes, Izuku did take the energy from that because he didn't want anyone else to get hurt because it was shocking the ground. So Izuku took the electricity. And yes, he can obtain his elements, other elements that come from different things. So, the last one that was in the middle, they both Shoto and Izuku helped them by getting them to recover a girl, then go back out to defeat the last 0 pointer. They both did it by Izuku just making darkness at the bottom of his feet, so it's like he can't move. Shoto burns him to a crisp. And yes, Shoto did get his scar. And after that, it was time over. As per the mic time, it was time over. And during the whole thing, All Might is smirking like creepy. And yes, he did tell President Mike that he trained with those twins. And one of them is his sister. And they all look at him like, what? Yeah. And yeah, they both beat his record. Izuku got in first place by 3 points. Todoroki's on second place, and it's oh damn. But they both knew they was gonna get in because they got first and second place. But they already knew they was gonna get in because they defeated most of the robots. And yes, people did get in still. And yes, everybody that got in still got in. So, and with that, I'm gonna cut it off right there.